I like this audience. This is a good one. I am super excited to be here. You know my topic. Extremely, extremely passionate about this topic. So let's just get right into it. I have been doing my profession for about 20-something years. Love helping talent, love geeking out on people and solving problems. But for us, diversity and inclusion has been around and has yet not been around. We talk about it. It's been on the lips of every executive session I've been in, every client talk, candidate talk. We worry about it because we're not making headway. We just heard about Year Up. Underprivileged youth, minorities, people with disabilities. We want to be found, we want to be discovered, we want to be employed, we want to be enriched in our lives. And we're not moving the needle quite enough, not nearly enough. So let's talk about it. Diversity, let's disaggregate what this looks like and what it means. Diversity intellectually we get. We know, because we're smart in this room, that diversity of thought impacts innovation, impacts our profitability as a company. We heard about diversity at board levels. We get the intellectual argument about diversity. It's the quality state of having unique traits and attributes, ideas, experiences. We get that. Fine. But let's talk about this diversity. People want to see themselves where they work. They want to see themselves in that opportunity. And if your company is branding yourself, and I, who may happen to be disabled in a wheelchair, don't see myself or don't see how I can survive and thrive in your company, may not be as excited about that opportunity. And we're all unique like Legos. I love Legos. Love Legos. And I can see myself in so many different parts of these Legos. Matter of fact, I'm not Frankenstein today, but some mornings I feel like it. But when I was looking at this deck, I'm like, I am that woman, that Viking chick one day. I'm Superwoman the next. I can see myself in this. There's so much variety, so much diversity. I belong. Now, inclusion. Inclusion's been around, a decade for us? We talk about including everyone to that table. So diversity is unique. Now, what is inclusion? Inclusion, for me, is simply the act of being invited. And along with that act of inviting, we talk about being treated fairly, respectfully, equal pay. We talk about having the right and invite to go to the same meetings and to have the same career opportunity. I'm included in that mindset, in that group. But is that sufficient? Now, for me, I was asked to talk on a panel a few months back about D&I, and I'm an introvert, and so talking on a panel is easier for me. I get to hide with my peers and talk about this program or that program, you know what I mean. You're not center stage. And then the moderator said, hey, Pat, could you do us a favor? Can you tee up the topic of diversity? And I scratched my head, I'm like, tee it up? What the hell is she talking about? It's a diversity conference, it's for women. Don't they know why we're here? I'm like, what do you want me to talk about? And she goes, how you feel about D&I. Now, as soon as she said that statement, I don't know about you, but how do you feel about something is a whole different conversation or approach than what you know about something. And it kind of freaked me out. And I went home and thought about it a lot, because I didn't commit right on the spot. And I said, all right, let me think about this. Let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me let you know what I'm thinking about and how I feel about this. And about 3 a.m. in the morning, I kind of got an idea, because I recognized about being included wasn't enough. So I flashed back to grade school, to gym class in New York, where a teacher was counting off 1, 2, 1, 2 on teams. We're going to play some sports, kickball or something. I was a tomboy. I geeked out. I'm like super excited to be on the team, super excited to play and rock myself. And what happened is my BFF was on team 2, I'm on team 1. It's a diverse team, gender, color of skin, religion, you name it, we were diverse. It was all good. I was invited, but I wasn't relaxed. I wasn't happy. I was a bit shy. You didn't know I was a tomboy. You didn't know I loved to kick the ball. You didn't know what position I wanted to play. And therefore, my week wasn't as great as it could have been. And I was kind of bored, kind of sad, not happy. But yet, if you think about it, they did do diversity and inclusion. It just wasn't enough. Now, I have been doing this research for a bit about D&I after that, and I said, okay, what is missing for me? Because it's necessary. We need these programs. We need the top of mind. We need to make sure as recruiters, as leaders, that we're fair and we're honest and we're open. I get all that. But it's not sufficient, and if you heard Jeff talk about belonging, he got it. It's that third dimension. When I talked at Harvard Business Review about diversity, I said, give me some data, share with me your thinking. And they said, well, Pat, honestly, we haven't written a book on diversity in 20 years. I'm like, 20 years? That's all I hear about. Yep, haven't moved the needle, haven't done anything different. Matter of fact, July and August edition, Pat, we're talking about why diversity has failed us. And I'm like, oh my goodness. We've got to change the conversation, don't we? So, in my conversation with my head, 3 a.m. in the morning, here's what I discovered. I am only great, I am only really, really happy when I feel like I belong. When I feel like I'm part of your team, that you know what I love to do, that you ask me, Pat, what position do you want to play? Oh, you love to kick the ball, you like to catch, you like to pitch. And I get to, share some ideas about the team lineup. You hear my voice, it has an impact, I belong. And I've had belonging moments that have created this feeling for me. This feeling of belonging where I can be who I am, my authentic self like I am today on the stage. And the first time I realized that I didn't belong as a woman was at age 9. I, as a tomboy, loved playing ball and building forts and playing with my brother. My brother and I'm the baby out of 8, Irish Catholic family. My brother and I are 12 months apart. I was his wingman. If he built a fort, I carried the hammer and nails. If he played baseball, he was a pitcher, I was the catcher. I was his wingman. I loved it. And so one year when I was 9 years old, now I've been throwing the ball with my brother every day, 100 throws a day before dinner. It was our routine. I got quite good at it. I was a catcher for him. But this 9th year, I had a crush, my first crush, on my brother's best friend. Now, he didn't know that. It's bad, you can't tell your brother that. But I had a crush, and they were trying out for Little League, and I tried out with them as a joke, just to hang out with my crush. And somewhere along that day, getting battered and bruised, it was no longer a joke for me. I wanted to be on a team. I wanted to belong to this sport. I wanted to demonstrate my strength. I wanted to kick ass. I wanted to win. And at the end of the day, I got picked on the Pirates as a catcher. I'm a lefty. I was super stoked. Everyone was happy until my sisters yelled, "Yay, Patty." And all of a sudden, there was crickets, and the coaches turned to me and said, "Sorry, you can't play." And what did I do? Like most women, most minorities do this, unfortunately, is I got my stuff and I walked away. I took that answer. I walked away. And if it wasn't for my sisters arguing on my behalf, the same sisters yelled Patty, by the way. They're like, "That's BS." They got in her face, in coach's face. And I'm embarrassed. I'm like, "Melissa, let's go." And my brother's like, "I don't know her." We talked at dinner, trust me. My sisters argued for me. And then the general manager came up with the rule book and said, "There's nothing in here that says girls can't play. You can play." Now, does that sound joyful? Did I feel like I belonged? No. but I was determined to play because we don't quit in my family. And so halfway through the season, my team had already stolen my mitt. They tried to discourage me. We'd play ball games. They'd go out for pizza. I wasn't invited. But somewhere along that team, we won a game. I threw a kid out at second. The team invited me to pizza that night, and they returned my mitt that night. I belonged. That was my first belonging moment. Now, I have to be honest with you, I was super excited. I think I squealed. I'm like, yay! I went and had pizza. I hung out with the boys. I played Little League for 2 more years. I grew my hair out into pigtails so I could rock my girlyhood. And until I decided, I didn't want baseball, I wanted something else. But, that's the story. But I recognized that life lesson of belonging was so incredibly important, that joy of rocking who I am, being okay with me, they okay with who I am, and accepting me, being authentic was magical. And I've had that experience off and on throughout my career. I don't belong with every team, it's impossible. But we are compelled genetically to belong. Since that talk, since that evolution in my own head, my aha moment, I did my research. Professor Walton at Stanford has been doing this for well over a decade. There are moments of uncertainty in our life. There's the 3 top stress moments every human being has. New job, moving, getting married. You can add a kid to that. That stressed me out. Still does. But anyway, these moments of uncertainty, from a minority's perspective, it's when they are glass half empty. They're looking for proof points why you really don't want them. When you say you're going to call them back and you don't, yep, they don't want me, I don't fit in. When they look at your marketing material and they don't see themselves, they don't have anyone like me there. They won't understand me. The majority doesn't walk through life like that. We are compelled to belong as a human species. We form clans and families to survive. It's genetically wired in us. We need to tackle this belonging issue at work, at home, where you live. So diversity, inclusion, and belonging go together. For me, I've called it dibs. You know how you call dibs for the front seat? I'm going to call dibs on diversity. That's how I grew up. And when I was thinking about dibs with my team, we're like, what does it mean? I don't want to curse anyone out. I know what it means to me. But in the Urban Dictionary, what we found was it's the most powerful force in the universe, to call to oneself. What if you were able to call a belonging moment to yourself and to your team, to that Year Up youth, to the person in the wheelchair, and give them their authentic self? That's incredible. I want to create those moments. You can create those moments. Like Nellie said from Netflix, we all have superpowers. Only when you feel psychologically safe and authentic can you unleash that superpower. I want to unleash mine. When I feel like I belong, I get my swag on. I find my feet. I speak out more. I have more to contribute. I want to hear your diverse thought. That's what this is all about. And why does this matter from a business perspective? Like, I want to treat everyone beautifully, but this shit matters. Engagement is the #1 driver that you find on the internet, on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, engagement of your employees, on and on and on we go. You got to unleash engagement in your workforce. That's a competitive advantage. 80% on average of a company's operating expense is related to talent. At LinkedIn, it's about 79%. We're in the sweet spot. Service organizations are higher, capital intense is lower, but this stuff really matters. So we got to unleash engagement. Now, how do you do that? You want diversity of thought, you want to be fair, but if you create a belonging culture, you unleash that extra added engagement. Professor Walton was talking about the psychological burden of not fitting in. On average, this has tripped me out, 30% of your time, and I guarantee it, everyone in this audience had a moment where they didn't belong. 30% of your time if you're minority, if you're black, if you're female, Latino, learning disabled, you name it, you are worried about how you fit in. You're cloaking yourself in some way. You're worried about the jokes you tell. If you're a black male, worried how close you follow the white female through a door. If you're in university, you're worried about the case studies and the jokes you use. Will my professor understand me? You are spending cycles to fit in and be heard and understood. Now that tripped me up. That's a lot of space in your head that you're using for this. Now what really blew me away was I was corrected by a gentleman at LinkedIn. Pat, that's fascinating, but I want to tell you one thing that you don't understand. I'm like, tell me. And he said, Pat, imagine you're a black gay man who happens to be Muslim. You will never know who I am. And I started to cry. Because what a shame that is. I want him to feel relaxed. I want to understand his life. I want him to rock himself and not fear for his life. In today's world with social injustice and the pressures we have and the stories we read every day, that feels almost unattainable. But if you have these stories of belonging and you share your story, you can unleash passion, creativity, engagement. You can be authentic and not waste those cycles. What a world that would be. I love this quote. How we treat each other, your legacy in every exchange with your candidates, with your peers matter. They will forget what you said and what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. I want to feel great every day. Life's too short. So let's talk about belonging moments, those great moments. I've had many that were awkward and graceful. Some were given to me, some I took for myself and was like gritty, made that stuff happen. But you can do that on your own every day. You can give 100 belonging moments a day. There are specific actionable things. From a candidate perspective, it's the discovery of these amazing human beings that you're up. Minority candidates are seeking to be found earlier in the pipeline than any other pool. The pool of candidates least likely to raise their hand and say, hire me, I'm different, this is my difference, are people with disabilities. We have a long way to go for them. But how you reach out, how you engage, how you attract your talent, how you show how they can survive and thrive and be who they are at your work, introduce them to someone like them, share a story about how that moment of uncertainty became certain, those are powerful, and you are that first touch point. Your team is, the sourcers, the people that reach out. And the millennial generation, I have to give it to them. They're the most amazing generation I've ever had the privilege to work with and raise. They will demand equality, they share compensation, they have open conversations, they come from a diverse landscape. They're the most blended generation in the world. They don't identify with just being female or Latino or black. They have so many dimensions, and they're proud of each and every one of them. I love how they challenge me in my thinking. I love my children and who they engage with. They're better human beings. I wish I had their opportunities. You have actions along the way. From an employee perspective, it's how we welcome them. Remember, in that stage of uncertainty, they're looking at the glass half empty. If you say you're going to call them at the end of the day, you better call them. If you welcome them and you're supposed to greet them for that lunch on their first onboarding day, make sure someone's there. Delegate equally to your team. Give ownership, real accountability to everybody on your team. They have something to contribute. Look everyone in the eye. And you know what? When you stop on Monday morning and say, how are you? How's your weekend? Don't just fill up your coffee and walk away. Stop and listen. I want to know how your weekend was. Because what you face this weekend may be completely different than mine. And you might be going through some stuff that's meaningful, and I should know about it. Listen was my superpower when Nellie talked. Listen is magical. But the real magical point is telling your stories. So Paul Knack, when I was doing my research with my team, what we discovered is that storytelling is the thing that binds, again, the human condition. Our legacy, our generation as a species has been handed down verbally for hundreds of years. We talk bedtime stories. We see each other in those stories, the hero, the adventurer. We tell the story and it's compelling. And Paul Nack, who's a neuroscience economist, said the reason why it's compelling is that it releases chemicals in your brain, serotonin being one of them. And when you tell a story from beginning, middle, and end, you draw that human person into your condition, into your world. And empathy evolves, and compassion and understanding. And I can see how I can belong and fit in. And so we've been challenging our employees at LinkedIn to tell their belonging moments. And they've been sharing some really incredible moments. A woman who has a black husband, interracial marriage, said, I never felt comfortable introducing my husband in prior companies, but here I can. And I'm excited to share our story and our children. I'm excited to talk about what it means to be interracial and the struggles and the opportunities we have. For the first time, I don't feel like I have to hide my pictures. And if I'm Muslim or if I'm gay, like these conversations are happening organically in the hallway, and they're beautiful, awkward, funny, amazing conversations. And these are belonging moments because we all have to learn. I do not know what it's like to be gay. I don't know what it's like to be Latino. But I have friends and family. I have a mixed racial family. I have people who are gay in my family, and I have opportunities to learn and listen. And when they tell their stories, it's compelling. When you're interviewing someone, be aware of what they're reading and how they're interpreting you. Do you know who they are? Are you listening to their story? How does that feel? We partner with MLT, Year Up, Girls Who Code. We're listening and trying to understand, what does it feel like to belong? What does this opportunity look like to create economic opportunity around the world for everybody? Looking at skills and opportunity, growth mindset. And when you talk in a very authentic way, these candidates don't want to be a number. They don't want to be something that's a process. They want to belong to a team where you have hired them, that you welcome them, that you know their name, you know their story, and you can't wait for them to rock their unique self at work. That's what I want. And that's what they want. So here's an example of onboarding. We got twins. We got Landon, he's on the left, and his brother. But at orientation day and onboarding, Landon's boss shows up, and she's super excited to see Landon. His brother doesn't have the same experience. Now Landon's team celebrates him, gets the balloons, the cupcakes. We love Landon. His brother, not so much. Now, who do you think is going home energized, that's speaking up, that's being creative, that will stay at this company? Landon is. They have the same exact job, same background, but one is welcomed, one is wanted, one is just embraced in your organization, and they have an amazing opportunity, and they're changing not only themselves, but your company and the world. His twin is not. So we can engage them differently. We can engage your ERGs differently. When you talk about belonging, it's universal. Diversity conversations tend to polarize people. Diversity means different things in different countries. Ageism, gender, religion, ethnicity. There's like 37 data points index on diversity. It's not just what you see. And when you listen and pull these ERGs together and create a patchwork quilt of what can be possible, what is in common and what is different, and celebrating both of those things, you actually do change your diversity makeup. You do become more inclusive, and you get wiser, and you have a better organization, better culture. Jeff Weiner talked about the big town hall in July when there were the shootings, and our ERG reached out and said, what are we going to do about that? You're coming back from your break, and all you see on your Facebook stream is about this vacation, that vacation, but yet what I am experiencing at home is fear. I don't know who I can talk to on Monday about these shootings. I don't know who to talk to about what it means to be a black male and be afraid. I don't know what it feels like to have a conversation with my boss, who happens to be white. You know, I'm having a rough week. Is it okay to mention it? Usually it's okay to say you're sick, right? I'm sick, my back went out, something. But not to say I'm impacted by what's happening in the world right now with my community. I don't have that skill, that language. And we realized we didn't have it as much as we needed to either. And so we had this amazing town hall, and I talked to some of my peers in the industry, and I said, what are you doing? How are you having these racial conversations? Some people say it doesn't belong in work, and I'm like, hell yeah, it does. It does belong in work because it impacts who you are and your employee makeup and how engaged you are at my workplace. I care so deeply. I just don't have all the answers. And when there's ignorance in the world, you have two choices: to believe it or dispel it with knowledge. And this town hall was about knowledge. It was about bonding. It was about telling stories. It was about talking about Black Lives Matter and what it is and what it isn't. It was talking about how I feel and how to start a conversation, because we didn't know how to do that. We didn't know how to ask you how you feel. And so this town hall was a piece of our puzzle, not the end of our story. But I'm telling you one thing that just was beautiful in that moment. We had a gentleman stand up, tell his story. He's in his mid-30s. And he said, for the first time in my life, today, I'm going to take off my mask. I'm going to put it down. And I will no longer pretend I'm someone I'm not at work. I will no longer work for companies that don't appreciate me for who I am and what I can contribute. That this conversation has changed forevermore how I think about belonging and the stories I tell and how I reach out to others. Let's have more of this. And so we're on a journey. And so let's operationalize belonging. You can do this every day, 100 times a day. The gift of belonging is like to give is to receive. You can do it, you can do it. You can walk out, you can ask someone how they're doing. You can invite someone to an interview and really listen. You can walk them around, introduce them to others, and tell more stories. You have so much empowered opportunity around you today to change the world. So let's remove bias. It's unconscious, we know it. We all have it. Let's break it. Every decision point is a learning opportunity. The decision who you're going to interview, who passes your interview, what compensation you give them, how you promote them. Every opportunity, every decision point is a learning point. Where bias is an opportunity to creep in, let's break it. We're doing training, bits of training at these moments of decisions to make it top of mind, to hold a mirror up, to make it a safe environment so I can see how, not so great on this decision. I see a trend that doesn't look pretty, let me change that, because I don't come to work to be a jerk. I see my bias creeping, and let me be better me. And we know the data, diverse companies are more engaged. Diverse companies, their employees engage more with their peers. There's better conversations happening. We know this. If you're more engaged, you're more profitable. And now we know that belonging is part of that engagement equation. At LinkedIn, we created a DIBS index, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. We asked 4 questions about belonging across LinkedIn globally. We had a hypothesis. We validated. It is global. It's universal. We all want it. What surprised the hell out of me was that it was the biggest driver of engagement. That I make an effort to help others feel like they belong at LinkedIn. And even when something negative happens, I feel like I belong at LinkedIn, that I feel safe. 2 biggest drivers of engagement. Blew me away. Now, we still have work to do on inclusion. We still have process improvements. We still need to improve our pipeline. We still need to change how we go out in the market and our partnerships. We need more help. But I think we're on to something. I think our engagement's changing. And I'm excited about that. So belonging matters. It's that third dimension. It's the strength at your company level. It fuels your culture, it fuels your energy. I jump out of bed. I can rock myself at LinkedIn. I can wear whatever I want to wear. That's, I need a dress, of course, but I need to wear appropriate clothes. But I can rock purple hair and pink hair. I can do whatever I want to do to express my individuality, and it's okay. I might get a question on the color tone, but no one's like, oh, that's not appropriate. They're like, hey, come on in, let's have a conversation. It doesn't change the value of my input. What I look like doesn't change my intellect. So we all have opportunities, but I don't want to have process drive me. And you can think about the experience you create every day, at home, at work, at Starbucks. You have opportunities that I want you to take and embrace, and how you feel included and how you want to belong. Because don't you want to be a superhero? Don't you want to rock your powers? Don't you want people to recognize who you are and say, come on in? Don't be like Emmett here. We don't know his superpower, so let's ask him some questions. Bring him into the fold. Because we have an amazing superpower team. We're going to crush it. Let's help Emmett belong. You deserve to be treated beautifully. This neon sign was a gift to me from someone on my staff. Happens to be her birthday today. And this is a mantra we believe in. And as I thought about belonging, it dawned on me, but this belonging mindset is how you treat people beautifully. You bring it home to them. So my ask of you today is to think about belonging. You've heard about diversity and inclusion. You heard perhaps Jeff talk. Now you've heard me and some of the research. There's a ton out there. I'm happy to share all the research. There's a ton to learn, but bring it back home. What you can do today, you all have, I'm sure 98% of you, 99% of you have the Talent Connect app. Start talking about it. Hashtag belonging. Share a story. I'm listening. I am listening to these stories and retelling them because someone's going to find themselves in that story and go, that's how I feel. They get me, and I now know I can achieve this. So please share your stories. Please help others belong and bring belonging back home. And share it as much as you can. Thank you very much.